Very appreciative to be up here. As Roger said, I spent a number of years with Dealer.com. Prior to that, I worked with Google for about 5 years, helping them roll out Google Analytics and a lot of their optimization programs. And then really became stuck in the vortex of automotive in a very positive way. I joined Dealer.com when we had about 120 employees. And we were working with about 3,000 car dealers in the US, and we grew that to about 13,000 website customers, and I oversaw our advertising division, and we worked with about 7,000 car dealers in the US and of course through Trader in Canada. So it was a really exciting time because of digital really starting to make an imprint in how people were buying and selling cars. And really what was happening in the marketplace of consumers shifting online. I don't have a lot of statistics to share, so I'm not going to follow up Kevin. I think that's enough data on that side. But there are some basic fundamentals that we have to appreciate at this point in the game. 50% of the consumers are using a mobile device to search. So it's beyond that now. We're online, we're shopping digitally, so we have to come to accept that. Secondly is the scale is unbelievable. Like I said, I worked with 7,000 car dealers. We ran about 1 million keywords a day. We ran about 1 billion impressions through display networks. And a lot of this has become automated, efficient, and economical. So really what we're going to get back to, and my presentation is going to focus, is a little bit about our brand and some of the basic digital strategies that you have to make sure, and this will probably be one of the last years we really talk about the fundamentals of digital marketing because we're beyond that now. It's our primary channel, it's dominant, and that's what I'm going to go through. My focus is going to be a little different than showing you a bunch of car ads. I'm not going to show you makes and models. I'm going to talk about flowers actually because I think it's a great segue into how other industries have adopted digital. And you're going to see the parallels back to automotive. So let me ask you this. How many people have bought flowers this year? Get a stretch? Yeah, there we go. How many people have bought flowers online? Far fewer. It's an interesting industry. I actually work with a flower company. We're at Universe Group. We're a brand development company. So we help companies either that are emerging, launch new products or businesses, or work with enterprises as well. And I've seen a flower company that was basically selling through Costco, Trader Joe's, they're the largest distributor in the US, start selling online, and within 2 years they were doing $5 million a year through Amazon alone as a channel. So this is another example. It's not just cars that are going to be shifted online for the purchase process. Every element of our life of how we shop, groceries, flowers, they're all starting to shift online. So I wanted to mix it up a little bit and talk about flowers today. I have your time for a short period. I want you to walk away with 3 things. The first and most importantly, to Roger's point, is we need to start to simplify our dealership marketing. It became way too complicated over the past few years. I was guilty of that as well too. I did a lot of talks nationally about programmatic advertising, real-time bidding, algorithms that were driving strategies, and we lost some of the brand essence of, why do consumers want to come to a dealership? Why do they want to buy a car? And how can we make that process for them a lot easier? And then also for your dealership too. You've had people knocking on your door probably twice a day trying to sell you new digital products. Well, get this chat. We have the best new search product. We have that. It became over-inundating with the amount of information that we had to pull back into our dealership just to be able to execute our day-to-day strategies. Secondly, digital is a dominant method in automotive. It's not going away. Traditional advertising isn't either. People still see TV ads, they still see radio, but the dominant method is digital. Most consumers now are using either their mobile phone, their desktop computer, their tablet, iPad, etc., to shop for a car. They're researching, and they're even starting the buying process. And I saw a lot of data, and you saw more and more people start to go down that path. So it's not just researching, the buying process is what's next. So third, go and buy your partner some flowers. It's a great thing to do. You can buy them online, and it's very efficient. So let's start. The digital promise, simple solutions. This is what got lost in all the mix. We really started to complicate things with digital. The amount of channels, focusing on keywords, looking at all the different display options. Do I go into this marketplace? How do I mix my budgets? So now I got to choose between traditional and digital, and then within digital, I've got to decide how much goes to search, how much goes to display, retargeting. Should I buy this chat product for this website? So the multitude of decisions or of options led to some decision paralysis. We couldn't decide anymore. Do I go with multiple partners? Do I find a lot of disparate products that I got to stitch together? So most importantly, we lost sight of the consumer. How do we make the consumer journey easier? You saw what they do through Kevin's presentation. They're spending a lot of time researching. They're going through a lot of different channels to find the information that they're looking for. They're mixed up. Do I buy this brand or that brand, this car or this car? So we really need to focus on improving their customer experience first and foremost, because this is the second biggest purchase they're going to make. Outside of their home, the car is the second biggest purchase. We need to be more consultative. We need to be friendlier. We need to help them simplify that buying decision so that they walk away feeling good about their decision. So people are researching and shopping online. It's a great customer experience. It's time to adapt to their needs. This is a great experience for someone to sit at their home, pull up their laptop, and look for the car that they want. How do we better help facilitate that? Through our websites, through our digital channels. Brand. Consistency is key. I started off my career, similar to what Roger was saying, maybe just a few years later, not to date us, but I started off in branding and identity, headlines, copywriting, the essence of marketing. Unfortunately, over the past 15, 20 years, a lot of that's been lost. And we grew up in this Google generation. Well, it's going to be programmatic. Your brand doesn't matter because you get 140 characters and 35 characters for a headline. And we're going to dynamically swap that out. Well, at the end of the day, people still are attracted to brands. Your dealership has a brand in its local market. And we've started to lose track of how important that brand is. And it's extremely important in the buying process. So we had worked with this one attorney, and we looked at his logos, and we said, you have 4 different logos. You're not consistent of how you're communicating with your customers. We had about 900 templates that dealers could choose from depending on your manufacturer and what your dealership offered. And like I said, we ran close to about 800, 900,000 different banner ad units on a monthly basis at dealer. I can't tell you how many conversations we had with dealers in the US, some of them very large, that couldn't get us the right logo. Oh, you know what? That's not the right logo. Go with this one. We don't know what the right identity, what the right images should be. And it was really concerning, but we completely looked over it because our only goal was to ingest that information and pump it back out to the search engines, to the display networks, etc. But we kind of lost sight that, no, the brand is important. You should have a consistent logo, consistent tagline, and really start to separate your dealership group out. It is extremely important to get your presence in your local market buttoned up. Make sure all your letterhead, I've gotten emails from dealerships, we're in the buying process right now, no tagline, nothing on the bottom, just the person's name. I was like, here's your identity coming through on an email communication to me. We need to tighten that up. So you might want to go through a little brand audit. Look at all your point of purchase. Look at all your collateral, all your communications from your staff. Do you have consistent logo treatments, identity, wording? And get your whole dealership to feel like it's one single brand for the consumer. This is something that we're going to go back to as marketers. We're going to go back to making our brand important again, because digital will get simpler. Another marketing tactic here, Google Maps, Apple Maps. How many people have searched for directions in the past 30 days? Everyone. This is an easy one, right? How many times have you searched for your dealership on your phone to find out if you're listed or not? It's the simplest thing. We get a few hands here. The first thing you do when you leave here, search for your dealership within your market area. And it's all geolocated, so you got to be close to it. So if you came in from outside the GTA, wait till you get back there. It's amazing how many people are ranking higher than you in Maps. And Maps is becoming the predominant search function within Google. Anytime you search now, Google, more likely than not, is going to pull up a Maps listing within there. They're putting in a knowledge panel. They're starting to move away from the top 10. So if any SEO firm or marketing firm comes in and says, we try to get you in the top 10 rankings, kick them out. Because you got to be asking them, well, how do I rank in maps? How do I make sure that when someone searches for my dealership or a dealership in my market area, that I'm ranking within there? This is one of the probably least focused tactics available today with the highest impact out there too, because guess how much it costs to be ranked in maps? Once you're in there, you're in there. This is free organic traffic again. Very basic, very fundamental, but customers want to know who to go to and where to go. One of the conversion events we used to include in our analytics for dealerships was the number of driving directions that were initiated from the website. And a lot of dealerships at first would say, well, that doesn't matter, I want a lead form. Well, Kevin just gave us the evidence, right? Most people are showing up unannounced. But what are they doing to show up? They're searching for how to get to your dealership and how to get driving directions there. So again, focus on this, check your Google Maps listings, and incorporate this back into your digital strategy. It's essential. Site retargeting. This I put above Google search. And we had a big debate at dealer.com a couple years ago. We were trying to prioritize digital spending. Where's your first dollar go? And we brought the notion of site retargeting. And someone said, no, you got to buy keywords first. You know, it's intent-driven traffic. It's people looking for your business. And then we realized, well, site retargeting, they're already at your website. And there's this fundamental practice within dealerships called remarketing. Someone came to your dealership, showed interest, and then you remarket them to get them back. You have an in-market prospect that has shown up there. The same applies to your website. So someone comes to your website, they search for 3 or 4 cars, they leave, because most likely they're not going to put a lead form in there. Why wouldn't we want to continue to nurture this prospect before we go find others to pull back to our website? This is one of the most underutilized aspects of display advertising today. And it is extremely effective. And the best part about it is you own your data. You know, it's people that came to your website, you paid to get them there, and now you can go retarget them. And you can do things that I want to retarget them for the next 7 days intensely. I used to work with a high-end luxury Italian brand, Bulgari. And what we found out is people actually didn't buy the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 watch on their first visit on the first day they came to your website. Typically, it was 7 to 14 days after that. So we initiated email campaigns, display retargeting, and this was probably 8 to 10 years ago. And we saw conversion rates increase dramatically because we didn't put a bunch of offers up on their first visit. We let them rest a little bit, put them through a little bit better of a purchase process. So if you're not doing site retargeting today, I would absolutely put this right up there with the maps marketing as well too. You own your data, they came to your website, and you have an opportunity to turn this consumer into a buyer. The other thing with remarketing, you can actually get it down to a level that if they came and looked at an Audi A6 in a specific VIN, you can put that back into the ad. So then as you chase them around on CBC and other news sites or whatever sites you're going to retarget them to, they'll see that same car or they'll see a list of cars. So you can be highly effective in how you remarket back to them. This is an extremely important marketing tactic. And then you have display advertising. This is what everyone in the world wants to sell you. Everyone has inventory in display, and it is important. Once you've done the maps listings, you've got your site retargeting, and you're focusing on your prospects that have been to your website, then you can go out and cast a wide net. You can get extremely targeted with display, or you can go really wide as well too. You're going to hear nuances like real-time bidding, programmatic display. And what this means is when we launched our display program about 4 years ago at dealer.com, we were at the NADA convention, and a dealer asked us, why would I buy display advertising with you? I just want to be on the sports page of my local newspaper. I'm like, well, that kind of time is done, because that same person might be on the New York Times sports page, they might be on CNN, they might be on all these different news sites. Why not get them anywhere where they're going? So what programmatic or real-time bidding allows you to do is still cast a wide net, go after a lot of different people, but you're able to get them on a lot of different websites. So as you start to go further into display advertising, don't get caught up in just saying, I want them on my local newspaper, because you are not your customer. You need to go after your customers and where their habits are. Secondly, brand consistency. Again, as you're launching display ads, retargeting ads, make sure your brand is consistent. Your logo is consistent, your product shots are consistent. No different than what Kevin talked about on the VDP listing pages. It is very, very important that your brand in those display ads, because it's visual, right? It's not Google. You know, it's not just a bunch of characters on the sidebar of a search listings page. This is your brand being shown to your customers. Reinforce that brand message all the way through. And then social media. Create consistent and authentic messaging to promote. I worked closely with Facebook and Twitter, a lot of the big social platforms out there. And anytime you can hear them speak, they really try to resonate this same message, especially with car dealers. Don't promote your products ultimately through social media. People are inundated with information through Facebook, through Twitter. This is an opportunity for you to actually showcase some of what you do. So what's great, because it's not a bouquet of flowers where someone says, hey, I saw an ad on Facebook for a new bouquet of flowers, $39.99. I'm going to buy that real quickly. They don't just see an ad on Facebook of a car and decide, I'm going to go buy that car, and click on a button and go down that purchase process. Social media actually is giving a dealership an opportunity to promote the authenticity of their brand. And some of the things that I think of, and we advised a lot of big dealer groups in the US, is you're inherently a part of your local culture. You're typically on the hockey rinks. You're supporting the local youth teams. You're doing charity events. You're doing fundraisers. You have great employees that you employ. You know, here's our top employee for the week, a little bit about their background and what makes them great. We just did this great youth charity hockey event. Show those pictures. Connect your brand back to the consumers, because your consumers are local. If I live in Montreal, I'm not buying a car from Vancouver. I'm buying a car from my local dealer in Montreal, so the more I can resonate with that dealer at a local level, the more important it is, and social media gives you an amazing opportunity to do that. Showcase some of the unique attributes of the car. Don't try to sell the car through social media. If they have new features and functionality, try to promote those aspects as well too, because you basically get this great brand canvas, especially through a Pinterest or an Instagram, where you can visually storytell to your consumers. So social media has given you an awesome opportunity to amplify unique characteristics about your dealership. It's up to you to extract those unique characteristics and then promote them back to your consumers. Content creation. This is one of the hardest things for a car dealer. We struggled with it too. Most of your good assets, your inventory, are your cars. Well, let's start thinking about some other stuff. You sell a car. It's one of the best experiences, again, second maybe to the person buying a home, of them walking away feeling good. You know, rarely does anyone leave a car dealership lot having purchased a newer used vehicle not feeling good about that. They walk off and they have a great experience. We ran a small promotion with this flower company. Share your bouquet and win. Benchmark Bouquets. Visit us. Imagine if you took a picture of someone getting into their car, getting ready to drive off the lot, took a picture of that, and shared that content through social media. That is a great experience. They're happy. What are they going to do? They're going to promote it to their friends. And some of these consumers might have 10, they might have 100, or they might have 1,000 friends on Facebook. In one picture of them getting into their brand new Audi A6, getting ready to drive off the lot with a big smile on their face, and your dealership right there with a sales rep could hit 1,000 people and a direct influence and promote your message. And it costs you nothing to be able to do that. So think about content creation. How do you package all the best moments of your dealership and then use social media and other forms of advertising to put them out there? And you can even run contests. You can get a little bit more creative with this as well. All this is wrapped in a container of data. Kevin mentioned VDP views, and he is absolutely right. I worked with Audi at the manufacturer level because we ran all their dealerships' digital marketing in the US. We became so scientific we could tell them exactly how many VDPs it took to sell a new Audi. So any region that could be lacking in sales, we could basically scientifically say, if you get this many VDPs back to these pages, you will sell a car. So the VDPs are a huge statistic that absolutely helps move the metal off the lot. Make sure your marketing partner is driving your strategies with a data-driven approach. Brand is important. Data is the supporting character there. And what you don't want is to hire someone like this, basically Kevin's team, to be doing all that. Because you don't have enough insights into the data alone. Your marketing partner will. Some of your strategic partners out there. The manufacturer is going to be starting to produce more and more data. But you absolutely want to make sure all of your marketing partners are using data to drive their strategies. We did it at Dealer.com. I had an entire team, very similar, just crunching data every day and finding out the most effective channels to advertise into and the most efficient ways to do that. Which creative works better, what headlines work better. So make sure when you're selecting marketing partners out there, they are using data to inform their own strategies that they're going to be deploying on your behalf. And this is what the future is going to look like. Attribution-driven platforms. They enable you to connect all the dots for your customer's journey so you can constantly learn and improve your strategies. So as you're building your brand on the front and you're providing good customer experiences, you're getting the right makes and models to move to your customers, you're taking great photos on the lot, getting them into all of your different VDPs. Behind the scenes, all this is happening. You know, typically we have an action, and that action can be attributed. So a TV spot, a search, a Yelp, phone call, an appointment set, a sale, a review, a referral. All this is getting stitched together. This is the scary part too. You know, it's like Facebook. Facebook collects 1 million points of data on every consumer on average. So think about this whole implicit for explicit situation. Every time you interact with Facebook, they get another data point. And again, in their database, they've got 1 million points of interaction. That's why they're so effective and efficient in their advertising. That's what's happening with your customers as well, too, as you start to progress and get more savvy digital marketing partners. They're starting to attribute the actions that lead to the success points. There's beacons going into dealerships now so that if someone goes online, performs a certain action or uses an app, then you can actually track them back into the dealership. This has become a tracking device more than anything else. So if you ignore the scary part of it, of all of this getting stitched together, this is what you can expect in the future. And all that matters is that your dollars will be invested more efficiently than ever before. Attribution is the next frontier of marketing platforms. Probably not this year as we move ahead a year or two, unless you're highly sophisticated. This is what we're going to be talking about. Not, are you in site retargeting? Do you have your Google Maps listings? We got to quickly move beyond the channels and start thinking about how do we make all those channels work effectively together. This is what you want to start thinking about. Analytics, simple dashboards that are mobile accessible and results driven. You want to be able to react to the data and make sure that you don't get overwhelmed. You should be able to walk around as a principal or head of marketing for your dealership or dealership group and get exactly what you need off your mobile phone. You should not have to sit in front of 3 computer screens to determine if your marketing dollars are effective or not. You need a simple mobile dashboard that gives you all the quick insights and intelligence to move money or change strategies, change directions, whether it's seasonal, monthly, promotion-driven. This is where you have to get to. Because listen, we can buy groceries off our phone. We can get a car through Uber. We can book a hotel. We can book a flight. If we can do all of this through our mobile phone, absolutely we can get a basic level of intelligence about the marketing effectiveness of our dealership. So from your marketing partner, first thing you ask them, do you have mobile reporting that gives me a good pulse of my dealership? That is going to be an essential need in the future. And you shouldn't have to get over-inundated with the amount of data that's being produced to make a good decision, because this is all that matters. Like I said, I've worked with Google Analytics since they launched in 2004. It's become more complicated, more complicated, and finally it's getting easier and simpler, and they've reduced the amount of reports down and simplified executive dashboards to the point that you can, in a very coherent way, make a good decision. So as we start to look at the landscape of what you're facing out there, we're really coming down to two decision points: platforms versus products. And if you really break down what they are different about, a marketing platform is integrated. So it integrates all your marketing together. It offers you consolidated reporting. It's data-driven because the systems can talk to each other. If your search and your local marketing, maps marketing, and your display and your retargeting, if they all sit within the same platform, they're going to work better together. They can actually share data more easily. They also put customers at the core. You know, it moves from, well, I targeted this customer over here with this product, and then that same customer over here with this product, and maybe I serve them two different messages at the same time without even knowing it. So with the customer at the core, it's extremely beneficial, and then you and your team get a single login and support. Digital products, which typically have been in the marketplace now for a number of years for dealers to choose from, they're channel specific. So this company offers search, this company offers display, this company offers retargeting. You typically get a single view of reporting. So you log in over here to get this report, log in over there to get that report. You're importing and exporting data to get the systems to talk to each other. And you're capturing customers on a one-off basis and managing multiple accounts. It's not that products are bad. They still have a need in the marketplace. But more and more, you're going to see a shift towards marketing platforms. And if you start to look at it in the industry and say, what platforms work that are out there? And these aren't all dealer specific because there aren't a lot in the dealership space today that allow you to get there. Anyone heard of Slack? It's the fastest growing technology company in the history of tech. And if you haven't heard about it, someone on your team probably has. And it's the simplest platform you can imagine. And what it does is it reduces the amount of email within a company. It's a basic messaging platform. Usually for my teams, it takes them 30 minutes to figure out how to use it. And at first they say, why would I need another tool set? And then within 3 to 4 days, they say, wow, this is great. I've reduced the amount of email. I'm collaborating better with my team. This is an example of a platform doing the work that it should because it's integrating everything together. Hootsuite is another example. It ties all the social media accounts together so you can get one message and broadcast it overall. Another good example, and this is kind of borderline, but it's WhatsApp. Facebook bought them for about $19 billion a few years ago, and they do very simple things like allow you to make phone calls internationally, send messages. Again, it's simple. It was very easy to be able to use. And probably the greatest example of a platform coming together was Google Analytics. They started off doing something very basic, website analytics, tracking. And then they evolved, optimization of your website, surveys, and they started to integrate that more and more under one roof, and Google Analytics became an all-encompassing platform. So these are just examples of out there. If you start thinking about what makes a great platform, outside of automotive, with the exception of Google Analytics, these are three platforms just to check out. I would highly advise you, even though it has nothing to do with your digital marketing, take a look at Slack. And if you're sick of email and you want your teams to work more efficiently, it's one of the greatest platforms that's out there today. And this is an example of what we have driven some of the dealerships' choices to. This is a program that I helped launch with some partners in the US a few years ago. And just to be fully transparent, it's not a bad thing, but it shows where we've gotten to as an industry. This is Select Your Vendor. It's part of the Fiat Chrysler program down in the US. Very successful program. We were able to get 2,000 of the 2,200 Chrysler dealerships focused on digital very quickly a few years ago. But it's gotten to the point where it's like, just select your vendor. How would you know which one to choose? It's like, hey, select a car. I'm not going to give you any details on it. You got to click in, learn more about it. This is what the landscape has become. A multitude of companies offering similar services with a very difficult time trying to differentiate between them all. And this is why we're going to continue to see more consolidation. I went from dealer.com to DealerTrack then to Cox Automotive, because it all got rolled up more and more. We're going to see more of these companies, larger companies, roll up these smaller shops, integrate them into a single platform, and give dealerships maybe fewer choices, but that's not always a bad thing. It's going to get you better streamlined service and better support overall. Because at the end of the day, this is what customers are facing. They're getting digital-first companies, Amazon, Uber, Tesla. So this is what you need to start thinking about, is your customers are working with digital-first companies. They're experiencing digital in the best way possible. Amazon never had to go from traditional to digital. They just started in digital, and coincidentally, now they're going back to retail. They're opening up retail stores all across the US. 43% of every e-commerce transaction in the US last year went through Amazon. They have 240 million SKUs in their database. Canada is lacking behind with Amazon. It only has 60 million SKUs and a much lower percentage of total transactions. But you can expect consumers more and more to go down this path. So what you have to do as a dealership is simplify your landscape of digital, have fewer partners that you work with, have more strategic relationships, focus on your brand first, because not that you're going to compete with these companies necessarily, but your customer is going to have a level of experience with these other companies up here, and your digital experience has to elevate to be up with them. Learn from these guys' work. If you haven't used Uber, go use it. I got the CEO of DealerTrack to use Uber for the first time. He fell in love with it. He was a traditional car guy. It was the experience of how he did that that started to transform and shape his thinking about what we needed to do at DealerTrack for digital retailing and the car buying process online. If you haven't ordered from Amazon, go online, order, sign up for Prime. Look at these seamless transactions. So learn from their work. It's not rocket science, outside of Tesla, because it is a rocket scientist running it. I realized after I wrote that, I was like, well, it's not entirely true. Part of that is rocket science, but the experiences that you can learn from these other companies will help inform your strategy with your dealership. And then it's basic, fundamental 101. Make sure your sales, service, and parts team are friendly. Customer service is more critical in the digital age than ever. Negative reviews are a few fingerprints away. All I have to do is pull this up, and I can write a negative review. You end up on Yelp, Google reviews, all these different places. It is essential that you provide a positive customer experience within your dealership. And I joke about this, but it's serious. Go buy flowers. Go to your restaurant. It's important that your team learns what it means to provide a positive customer experience in the digital age. So there's basic ways to introduce that, but more than ever, you have to be there. And it's an open field of opportunity. You can use digital to differentiate your dealership and dominate the competition. If your competition is getting further behind on digital, you can go further ahead. You're going to sell more cars. You're going to provide better customer experience. And I can tell you quantitatively, you will get better gross as well too. We put iPads into the hands of finance managers in the US at the dealership, and they grossed an average of $500 more per transaction on the non-car sale, selling all these other things. When the consumers were in control, they spent more money on finance or on insurance, tires, warranties, etc., by them taking control of that process. $500 more gross per car. So use digital, go out there and dominate, and thanks everyone for your time.